It happens, but it's unacceptable when it happens at critical moments and ruins the outcome of a game. Today, you're going to see some egregious calls by the referees over the years, and you're going to see some big games whose endings were forever transformed. Because bad calls have happened on the biggest stages, even in the final minutes of the most recent Super Bowl. One timely flag can assure victory for a team. The hip check.
Really felt that he was directing.
Here, watch this again.
Now he's already reaching. Foul had already taken place.
Okay.
You never want to see the refs insert themselves into the game. But on a Monday night game in November of 2021, that is quite literally, we're taking on the Steelers, and it was a close game all night. There was around 3 minutes left in the game with the Steelers having possession. The Bears were down 23-20, and on third down, Cassius Marsh of the Bears got a drive-ending sack. As the punting team for the Steelers trotted onto the field, Marsh was excited. He did a celebration, looking over at the Steelers sideline, nothing any bigger than we see in many games, and the ref hadn't thrown a flag. Yet. But as Marsh turned to run back to his sideline, the ref was in front of him. So he tried to avoid the ref, but the ref inexplicably jutted his body out towards Marsh, giving him a hip check, and giving the illusion of Marsh running into him. Then the flag came out. It was for unsportsmanlike conduct. Everyone was baffled. The celebration didn't warrant a flag. Contacting the ref could, but the contact was not initiated by the player. It was initiated by the ref. The Bears were livid. This gave the Steelers a new set of downs. They were able to get a field goal on the drive, which shouldn't have ever happened. The Steelers were up 26-20. The Bears managed to score a touchdown afterwards, going up 27-26. But another Steelers field goal on their next possession put them up 29-27. And that was the final score of the game. The Steelers finished the season 9-7-1 and barely made the playoffs, with the assist from the refs on a game they likely should have lost. The Bears fell to 3-6 that night and began to fall out of the playoff race. But had they been at 4-5, that feels a whole lot different for a team. Super Bowl 40. You want to talk about a big game that had the refs' fingerprints all over it? How about a Super Bowl? Super Bowl 40 saw the Steelers and the Seahawks matching up against one another, and the refs had not one, not two, but three big mistakes. For starters, the Seahawks got called for an offensive pass interference on a touchdown grab by Jackson. It was ruled by the refs that Jackson pushed off the defender. The contact was so minimal, it shouldn't have even been called in a regular season game, let alone a Super Bowl. That erased the touchdown off the scoreboard. Later in the game, the Steelers were threatening to score, and Ben Roethlisberger took the snap and ran to his left and dove for the end zone. He was met at the goal line by a defender and definitely looked to be short, but somehow the refs called it a touchdown. The Seahawks were down 7-3. The refs took away their touchdown while gifting the Steelers a touchdown. Could it get worse? Later on in the fourth quarter, Seahawks quarterback Matt Hasselbeck completed a pass that should have moved the offense down to the 2-yard line. On the play, one of the Steelers was offsides. Not that the Seahawks would accept the penalty with the completion anyways, but the refs totally missed the call, and then called holding on the offensive lineman instead. He was only holding because the defender got an early jump. The Seahawks lost this Super Bowl 21-10. But when you take into consideration the touchdown they should have had and the touchdown the Steelers shouldn't have had, the score would be a lot different.
Oh, baby boy, hope you had your chunky soup. Eyebrow man.
Maybe I did.
Pretty boy, I'm a pretty man!
Sorry, ladies.
With 16 grams of protein per can in chunky spicy chicken noodle, soup that eats like a meal.
Giants versus Commanders division matchup. Bad flags and bad no calls are horrible, but when you get one of each in crunch time, it's devastating. And worst of all, this one happened in a division matchup between the Giants and the Commanders on December 18th, 2022. The fourth to the last game of the season. Terry McLaurin was lined up on the outside. He checked with the ref if he was standing in a legal position, which receivers often do. The ref appeared to give him a thumbs up. All was good. The Commanders ran the ball right into the end zone for a touchdown. All was great until the ref threw a flag saying that McLaurin was lined up in an illegal position, even after he told McLaurin he was good. It was so egregious, and it pushed the Commanders back 10 yards. We fast forward to 4th and goal. The Commanders snap the ball, and Taylor Heineke throws to one of his receivers, who had a defender draped all over him, and no call. The ref swallowed his whistle on that one.
Oh, a lot of contact there.
Wow. Hold on. Holmes has to drink.
That is pass interference.
Of course, the Giants made the playoffs at 9-7-1, and the Commanders missed the playoffs at 8-8-1. Had the Commanders won that game, those records would be reversed, and the Commanders would have been the ones in the playoffs. Packers and Seahawks Hail Mary. When's the worst time for a terrible call to be made? The last play of the game. It was 2012, the year the refs were on strike. Week 3, the Packers were up 12-7 on the Seahawks. Seattle had the ball at midfield with time for one more play. Russell Wilson heaved up a Hail Mary, and it went right into a group of players. The Packers defender Jennings got his hands on it first. The Seahawks receiver Tate got his hands on it after, but it was ruled a touchdown. The refs thought it was simultaneous possession by both defender and receiver, which does indeed go to the offense.
The game's final play is a Wilson loft to the end zone, which is fought for by Tate with Jennings simultaneous. Who has it? Who they give it to? Touchdown!
But after reviewing the play, you can tell the defender got his hands on it first. It was a clear interception. Everyone thought the call would get overturned, but it didn't. It stood as a touchdown, and with no time left, Seattle stole the game 14-12. Skip to the end of the season. Green Bay ends up 11-5 and wins their division, landing themselves the 3 seed. If that game wasn't stolen away from them, that would give them a 12-4 record, making them the 2 seed with a bye week to rest. And who knows, perhaps Aaron Rodgers would get to a second Super Bowl. Rams versus Saints NFC Championship game. Could a possible Hall of Famer's legacy be affected by a disastrous refereeing job? Look to Drew Brees. Now, we're all sure he'll likely end up in the Hall of Fame, but he's only ever won 1 Super Bowl. He isn't regarded quite as highly as those with 2 or more, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and others. The 2018 season was perhaps Brees' best chance to get a second Super Bowl. His Saints were in the NFC Championship game, and the winner would face Brady's Patriots. The game was tied up at 20 with less than 2 minutes to play. It was 3rd and 10 for the Saints at the 13-yard line. Brees threw it up to his receiver, but the defender got there so early it was an obvious pass interference, and the refs didn't call it. Possibly even illegal helmet-to-helmet contact. Horrendous. It should have easily been a new set of downs. The Saints could have gotten a touchdown, or at least run the clock down and taken the lead with a field goal. Instead, they got a field goal, but the Rams had enough time to tie the game up, take it to overtime, and win it there. The Rams ultimately lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but we will never know what could have happened if the Saints made it there. They could have won, and Brees could have been in the 2 Super Bowl club. A blatant no call totally altered his legacy. No one wants bad calls to affect games, but it can go deeper. It can affect playoff positions, trips to the Super Bowl, and worst of all, it can transform careers of players, for better or for worse.